Good afternoon, everybody. This is Mike Pelletier speaking to you from Maryville, Tennessee, and this is another edition of The Unvarnished Truth, my periodic screeds on items and issues of the day. And today we're going to talk about, or I'm going to talk about, I don't know what you're going to talk about, but I'm going to talk about Donald Trump as the Manchurian candidate. You know, during I voted for Trump enthusiastically. I thought he was the last chance to stop the progressive corruption of and I mean capital P, progressive corruption of our country. And during the campaign, I kind of dismissed some of the accusations that the Russians favored him. He was too good a friend to Vladimir Putin and all that. He had too many business interests. But now we've got the CIA coming to an assessment that the Russians involved themselves in the campaign on Trump's behalf to defeat Clinton. And you have to wonder why. You know that old saying, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Well, the friend of my enemy is my enemy. And I'm beginning to wonder if that's true about Trump. I don't think that the Russians hacked our electoral system. I don't think that's possible. I think, Jill Stein's silly lawsuits are just that. Silly recount lawsuits are just that. They're nothing. I don't think Russia, manipulated the voting booth. But certainly those WikiLeaks emails, those emails released by WikiLeaks, they were all from within the Democratic National Committee or Clinton's campaign. I mean, they were all leaks that were designed to hurt Clinton and thereby help Trump. Now, WikiLeaks denies that they were of Russian origin, but WikiLeaks could be lying, or they could have been fooled. Russia could easily have masked themselves as the source, and Russian denials that they were involved in the WikiLeaks leaks are just absurd. The Russians denied that they took over Crimea. The Russians denied that, that their soldiers, not in uniform, in eastern Crimea or in eastern Ukraine, are their soldiers. I mean, they denied that their tanks and artillery is their artillery. I mean, the Russians are just point-blank liars, like Muslims. It's like the Quran, where it says repeatedly that it's okay to lie to infidels because they're infidels. The Russians' attitude is that it's okay to lie to anybody about anything because we're Russian and they're not. So you can't trust their denials. So the Senate's going to conduct an inquiry. And even Republican senators are in favor of that. And I'm telling you, that puts Rex Tillerson's potential nomination as Secretary of State, in jeopardy. He may very well get voted down. And how embarrassing would that be for Trump? I hope Kellyanne Conway gets to Trump. I think she's a very smart woman. Gets to Trump and tells him to pull this nomination. Tillerson has, tremendous business interests in Russia. Through his chairmanship of Exxon. And I think he was even awarded some kind of friendship medal in 2013 by the Putin administration. I mean, come on. This guy is anathema. This will be a political embarrassment to Trump of the highest order with these suspicions flying around about Russia. And the Senate's going to, and the House probably, when the House comes back into session in January, they're going to conduct investigations. And this could prove very damaging to Trump and really impair his administration. So I hope he rethinks this. Vladimir Putin is not our friend. And believe me, I understand where Trump, putting aside the friendship question, where Trump was coming from when he said that he admired Vladimir Putin as a leader. I do believe that Vladimir Putin, I agree with Trump. that Vladimir Putin was a better leader for Russia than Obama was for America. Vladimir Putin put Russia first. He pursues Russian interests. They wanted Crimea back. They took it. Eastern Ukraine is populated with lots of Russians, ethnic Russians, and they're trying to cleave it away. Putin also wants to undo NATO, which he regards as a great threat to him. So I think he's going to threaten, if not actually invade, Latvia, Lithuania, or Estonia, and trigger the mutual defense agreements of NATO. And if NATO doesn't reply and come to the defense of those three of the Baltic states, NATO will be doomed. So that's what Vladimir Putin is up to, and I think we better wake up to that fact. And the Trump administration should act accordingly. And I certainly hope that Trump doesn't make a move to lift the sanctions from Russia that President Obama correctly installed after the Crimean invasion. If Trump does that, he may very well be impeached, and that would be terribly embarrassing. It would set back conservative politics, perhaps permanently, because we'll look corrupt in the eyes of the American public. So I certainly hope that Kellyanne Conway gets to Trump and he gets this Putin stuff just out of his mind, because he's out of his mind. Putin and Trump, if they continue to pursue this course. Now, what should our policy be with Russia? Well, I grant you, I always thought that the thing that Trump should have said at every debate with Hillary Clinton was that the so-called Russian reset during the beginning of the Obama administration was the most absurd act of incompetence ever. Only a female Secretary of State would bring a toy to a press conference with Sergei Lavrov, who's a very serious man, and the foreign minister of Russia, would bring a little, a toy or device, a reset button, and only Hillary Clinton could have a reset button that is supposed to say in Russian reset button, but says something else, and Lavrov laughs about it at the press conference because she's an idiot. And she is an idiot. That's what I think Trump should have led with at every debate. You're an idiot. And Sergei Lavrov thinks you're an idiot. Russia thinks you're an idiot. The Russian reset was absurd because it never would work, because the Russians have their own agenda, and that is to reestablish the Soviet reunion. That's what Vladimir Putin wants. So what should our policy be vis-a-vis Russia? Secretary Kerry now says our policy in Syria is to obtain a ceasefire. That's not a policy. I don't know what that is. A short-term strategy? I don't know. What's our policy? Do we keep or do we not keep Assad as dictator? That's the question. In my view, we should keep him, because you take a dictator away from a Middle Eastern country that's had a dictator, and you open the field for ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and other chaotic terrorist elements. Getting back to Russia, what should our goal be with Russia? Regime change. We should get our goal, if Putin won't withdraw from withdraw from Ukraine, and work out some sort of a deal, sharing deal or something with Crimea. Our goal should be regime change. Get Vladimir Putin out of office, undermine him, support other candidates. It's got to be somebody other than the guy who was president before Putin, then this other guy, and then Putin again. There's got to be somebody else besides him, when Putin's second term is up, because he can only serve 2 terms in a row. Our goal should be regime change if and when that election comes up. And then our long-term goal, in my opinion, should be to persuade Russia to join NATO. That's what we should do. Russia is, it's an authoritarian country, but it is democratic. They have elections, and we should welcome them into NATO and make them comply with all, finally make Russia European. That's been the goal all along. Make Russia European. And that would further isolate Red China, which would be a beautiful byproduct. So those should be our goals. Trump should clean up his entire act vis-a-vis Russia, or it's going to be the downfall of his presidency. And that's all for today from Maryville, Tennessee. My name is Mike Pelletier. This has been The Unvarnished Truth, signing out on December 12th, 2016. And I hope to be back with you later this week on another topic of interest. Be well until then.